Stopping oil export to certain European countries. Iran's oil minister says Tehran can easily replace Europe with other oil buyers. Referring to Europe's recent threat of putting sanctions on Iran's oil, Rostam Qassemi said Iran will stop exporting crude oil to certain countries in Europe.
18% of Iran's oil is exported to Europe. This is not a big share, and we have consumers to replace Europe. We have to tell some countries that want to purchase our oil they have to wait 6 months in line. European countries can halt import of Iran's energy as of today. They don't need to wait 6 months, since Iran has got no problem in selling oil to the countries.
Referring to countries that use buyback scheme in dealing with Iran, Qassemi assured their share of oil is safe no matter what.
Some European countries have a long history of doing business with us, and in some cases, some have performed a few projects in our country and receive oil in exchange. They can get their oil even if they do not want to buy oil from us any longer.
Iran's oil minister also talked of selling oil in currencies other than US dollar. Petrodollars are an important part of US economy, and selling oil in currencies other than US dollar is not in the benefit of the United States.
China is our friend and buys oil from us. We sell oil using euro and dollar and do not have restrictions in selling our oil in any other currency, including those of the buyers.
Some experts believe that the European energy market is not so important for Iran.
It seems like Iran's oil minister today wanted to show that the European market is not that important, especially with different refineries getting closed every day in Europe. He is not counting on the EU.
International Monetary Fund (IMF) has warned that halting Iran's oil exports could push crude oil prices up 30%. Iran's Minister of Oil at this conference stated that it's not Iran's policy to hurt the people of Europe, but stopping oil export to Europe in winter would make the people of Europe suffer. Arash Khalabari, Press TV, Tehran.
Iran says it will definitely stop oil exports to quote-unquote certain European countries. The country's oil minister says they have yet to make a decision on cutting supplies to other EU states. It's Tehran's response to the EU's oil embargo that was set to come into force in July. To explain what this could mean and more, we'll talk to Chris Bambery, a political analyst who joins us live from London. So do you think, which certain states do you think Tehran is referring to here?
Well, I think it's obvious that Iran is talking about the United States and the leading powers in the European Union, with Britain, France, and to a lesser extent Germany in the driving seat. And I think they're listening to what's the rhetoric from London, Paris, and Washington, and understand that that rhetoric is being hyped up all the time. I mean, today we've had claims this week from the US Defense Secretary that there was going to be an Iranian terror attacks inside the United States, although he also said there was no evidence, they could produce no evidence for that. Today, elsewhere in Tel Aviv, I read a supposedly a respectable commentator saying the Iranians had missiles which they could fire and could hit the United States of America. That claim is just simply preposterous. But we are seeing a ratcheting up of the anti-Iranian rhetoric in the West. And at the same time, the Iranians must understand from recent history that the history of sanctions has been in both former Yugoslavia and in Iraq, the case of Iraq, has been to soften up those countries in preparation for a military assault, particularly in the case of Iraq, where really 10 years of sanctions beggared the economy. And that is what people like William Hague, Hillary Clinton, people have talked about, that stopping Iran's oil industry through these economic and financial sanctions could hit the Iranian economy and thus undermine the regime. And at the same time, the Iranians must be very, very nervous about the American build-up inside the Persian Gulf. If you look at the map of Iran, it is surrounded by American military bases, incidentally bases which are also aimed at Russia and China. So I think in some ways the pressure must be on inside Iran to think we should maybe get a retaliation in first. And I also think that this is a very dangerous situation. The militarization of the Straits of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf can lead to accidental clashes. And we can remember a supposed accident back in 1987 when an American warship, the Valenciennes, shot down an Iranian civilian airliner with a loss of 290 deaths. There have been a number of incidents like that over the years, and it could just take something to trigger it here. So we're in a very dangerous point. And I think in the West, people in the United States and in Europe, should be asking their governments to pull back from talk of military action, to pull back from sanctions, and to start talking to Tehran. And I think it's very important that people in the West actually put this demand, because the Iranians must feel that they are under pressure. They've looking at events in Syria, looking at events in Libya. They must feel they are next on the list. And I've heard other people in London, for instance, say, well, there's not going to be a war because the Americans can't fight a two-front war in Afghanistan and there. Well, as I say, it just takes an accident, and the Israelis could be the accident that trigger this by some form of action. They haven't got the capacity to launch an all-out offensive against Iran, but they could carry out a one-out attack, which would lead to retaliation by Iran. This is a very dangerous moment, and I think Western leaders should, as I say, cut the rhetoric.
How much of a blow will Iran's own oil embargo be to Europe?
It will be. I mean, it's particularly for southern Europe. It's countries like Italy and Greece, which are already in serious economic difficulties, which take the bulk of the oil which Europe takes. So countries like Italy and Greece will be the ones that suffer most. But of course, we might also see another hike in the oil price. And this is a time when the European economies are entering into a double-dip recession. Why on earth their governments want to enter into a war or threaten a war which could threaten oil supplies, why they have the money to spend in such things when they're cutting back on austerity, are questions that citizens across Europe might be asking about themselves. And these people also have an ignorance of history, because you should remember, when they complain about Iran's nuclear program, the Israelis have a nuclear program. They deny it, but they have one. They don't allow inspectors in to look at their sites, unlike the Iranians on occasion. They do not sign some of the treaties that Iran has signed. And more importantly, America and Britain encouraged Iran to develop its nuclear program. But when they did that in the 1970s, Iran was under the rule of the Shah of Iran, an autocratic despot. It was okay for Iran to have a nuclear program under the Shah. It's not okay for Iran to have a nuclear program now. And these are the nuclear powers, by the way. It's hypocrisy when they talk about this. I'm against nuclear weapons, I'm against nuclear power, but it's hypocrisy from London, Washington and Paris, who have more weapons than they need to destroy the globe.
Political analyst Chris Bambery speaking with us from London. Thank you.